Welcome back. Thanks for tuning in. As I mentioned in my last video, this is, or I guess I should say now, was my main toolbox. This is the one that carried, well, all the common stuff, things I used most frequently and went in basically to every job I did. And as you can tell by my little pantomime there, I was taking it out of my vehicle and the handle just snapped right off. And fortunately for me, it landed flat, didn't crack open and spill all my tools all over the place. But it needs to be replaced. I need a new one, and I didn't really want to go and buy another plastic toolbox because, well, there are a few things about it I didn't care for, and, well, I don't want this to happen again. I want something that's really, really durable. So I'm going to make it out of, well, 3/4 inch plywood. And because I like to recycle as much as possible, this is old plywood. This wood came from, well, when my daughter was really young, she collected a lot of, well, at that time, VHSs. And a bunch of other stuff and books and things, and she needed, well, a shelf to carry as much of it as possible. So I made her a little wall unit, and that's what this was. It served quite well, but my daughter's older now and moved out, and I've been meaning to take this apart and reuse it. And I think this is a perfect opportunity for that because, well, like I said, this is old hardwood plywood. I think it's oak, and I find older plywood is much more durable. Its glue is better. There's less voids, and, well, I mean, this is 20 years old, and it is still in wonderful shape. It has a few nicks and stuff, but it's like I said, doing really well considering what it's been through already. So this is a small shop. I have to make things work, and this is one of my little tricks when I'm cutting long sheets, because this is an 8-foot piece. And, well, if I were to cut this normally, you're going to see here in a second, without putting any clamps or anything on it, it will end up binding on the blade, and I don't want to do that. So this is how I cut it. I just pull that through my normal sled, and then remove the piece that's, I think I cut this a little long, because that's another thing I tend to do. And then I'm going to show you here is if I hadn't clamped it in place, it would do this, and then that's when you end up with problems with the blade. So that's one of the things I do. Small shop things. I don't have enough space for a lot of things along those lines, but like I said, it's just things I do to make do. So now that this is close to what I want, you can see a couple screw holes there. I am going to trim that off, flip it over one more time, and then cut it to size. I end up wasting a little bit of wood, like that's what, 1/4 inch right there, and I think on the other side is going to be about another 1/2 inch or something like that. Well, actually no, this is going to be longer because I was cutting this at screw holes just so that, well, I can't use the screw holes. Well, I suppose I could have, but it would just make it ugly. And like I said, this is old recycled wood anyway, so that piece there I will use for something else later on. So there you go. This is, like I said, one of the things that I need to do to make things work. Now the other thing I do sometimes, in this particular case, this is a slightly smaller piece. So what I'm doing here is I'm measuring, I need a 20-inch piece, and I'm going to cut about 20 and a half, 20 and a quarter, and then I'll just trim it there just so that this piece becomes more manageable. It's not going to tip or anything, but like I said, I just don't want to put it in an uncomfortable position where it has a chance to bind or anything. So trim that off. Now what I'll do is flip this over and cut it to size. It's very easy. And like I said, I don't waste a whole lot of wood doing this. You'll see another little piece come off of this. But again, it is an easy way of, well, one person, small shop, doing what you can. So I'm going to trim these all up. Now one of the things, this shelf, or these old shelves, were 12 inches wide. And I was having a bit of a dilemma because I don't want to make this thing too big. Because I have a tendency to put a lot of stuff in these things, and I didn't want it to end up being, weighing a ton. So what I did is I cut all the pieces, and then I, well, did a mock-up, and taped everything together, and see, it's not much wider, or sorry, not much longer than the toolbox itself. It's roughly exactly the same. Now, currently that is 12 inches, and I thought, well, that's a bit much. So I cut that. I'm going to cut that down to 10. But the other thing is it is considerably wider. It is almost enough for this to fit in this way. It actually kind of cool if it did, but I'm not going to remake that just so it fits there. It's just going to get tossed in top. So I'm going to trim these down. This is the sides. These are going to go down to 10 inches, and I decided to leave the width of it at 12. It's going to be a little bit more hefty, but I'll just have to control my urge to just throw everything in one box. And we'll test it out. Like I said, I want this to be really hardy. I want this to last so I don't have to ever do this again. Now, there are a couple other things I want to incorporate into this. One of the problems I found about the old plastic style, or even most toolboxes in general, is the lid. I can stuff things in it, but sometimes after finishing a job, I'm putting stuff back into it, and every now and then there's a few extra things, like things I bought, a couple extra pieces I didn't need. And getting the lid closed is not the easiest thing. Sometimes it's just fiddling with it, trying to get that done. So instead of having an incorporated lid like the old box, the box I was just using, I'm going to make it open-topped. But I don't want to leave it that way. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to, in the next video, not in this one, I am going to make basically a tray that's going to fit on top, act as a lid, but I can pull it out and turn it upside down and use it to hold stuff while I'm doing jobs. So that's the plan anyway. We'll see how that goes. And there's also a couple of ideas I have for internal compartments, not so much in the sense of things that are integral, but stuff that I can drop in and use, and we'll see how that all works out as well. I'm going to try a few things out with this. So what I'm going to do here is, as you can see, leaving it square is really, really boxy. So I'm going to cut 245s on either side, get rid of most of that material, round over the edge with my really fancy little doodad there, and then I'm going to cut these down. And I'm going to sand those down, and of course I have to drill the holes. Now I wanted initially to do this whole thing in one go, because making multiples for just a simple little build like this seemed a little bit much, but I also wanted to incorporate the things I have to do to cut wood and things in a small shop like this. So it ended up being almost 10 minutes, and I figured, well, I'll just do it in 2 videos, and I'll hopefully get the other one up relatively soon so you don't have to wait too long. So there you go, round those over. I'm going to take it over the belt sander and sand them down. I do have a belt sander, but it's getting kind of old. I do need to do some things to it. Here you see the belts flapping around there, and it needs some work. I built that a long time ago now. But anyway, that's one of the reasons why I was going to make the drum sander. And yeah, lots of things that need to be done. Anyway, so one of the things I decided to do here, I was going to originally just mark these holes and then cut them individually. But I decided instead to fit them together so that they are fully matched on all the sides, and then I'm going to just drill one hole through the middle. That way the holes will match up, and I won't have any issues with any kind of twisting if I just get off by a little bit on the measurements. And anyway, it worked out really quite well. So I'm very happy I decided to do this. And this is a 1-inch Forstner bit. The dowel I'm using, this is 1 1/8. Well, I have big hands, so I wanted a nice beefy handle on this. And in the next video, I am going to turn that down so it just snugly fits into here. I didn't like how loose the handle was for the last build I did with the screw caddy, so I want to make this a little bit more friction fit. I'll still glue it, of course, just to give it a little extra security. But like I said, I didn't want to have that any loose at all. So there you go. This is almost all ready now. I'm going to, in the next video, I will get the handle ready, and then of course I'm going to put this together with dowels. I'm very happy with dowels at the moment, so I'm going to keep going that way. This is a sneak peek of what it's going to look like in the end. Actually, not the end. I hadn't even cut off the extra dowels. I haven't sanded it down. I haven't done any finishing. So next video, I'm going to do all that and also put together the lid. And anyway, thank you very much for watching. Leave comments. Let me know what you think about all this, and I'll see you in the next video. And bye for now.